Welcome to Gun News Review. The NRA can no longer sell in California the self-defense insurance policy included in its Carry Guard membership program. The California Department of Insurance this week issued a cease and desist order to the NRA, saying the insurance was not licensed in the state. The policy covers some legal costs for injury or damage resulting from legal use of a firearm in cases such as self-defense, recreation, accidental discharge, or hunting. More than 2,000 people in California hold the policy. Insurance regulators say violations of the order carry a potential fine of $5,000 per day. A review of that order can be requested by the NRA. There was also a win this week in California for the pro-gun side. A federal judge on Tuesday struck down the state's nearly century-old law that prohibited handgun ads at gun shops. The law enacted in 1923 banned those handgun ads visible from outside a store because supporters felt the ads would prompt impulsive people to buy a gun and possibly commit suicide or a crime. But the law only restricted ads for handguns, not other firearms. The judge in Sacramento this week said the state has presented no proof that banning the ads would prevent suicides or crime. In the ruling, he said California has other laws that could prevent crime committed with guns without restricting speech. Also in California, Crossroads of the West Gun Show will no longer be able to use the Del Mar Fairgrounds near San Diego as its venue for future shows, at least for now. Under pressure from gun control advocates, the governing board of the fairgrounds voted to not renew the show's 2019 contract until it reviews its gun policy. The board is allowing itself 1 year to do that review, and the show could return after that, depending on the decision. The move follows a public hearing on the issue.
Our founding fathers adamantly encouraged an armed citizenry.
Please stop the state-sanctioned selling of guns and ammunition in our communities.
Crossroads of the West Gun Show has been held at the fairgrounds for more than 30 years. Scheduled shows for the remainder of this year will be allowed to proceed. Two gun control measures are working their way through the Arkansas legislature. One would raise the minimum age to buy semi-automatic rifles to 21. The other is a so-called red flag law, which would allow temporary confiscation of someone's guns if they are deemed by a court to be a danger risk to themselves or others. Republicans so far appear to object the most to the minimum wage measure. Both measures were presented this week to a legislative review committee, which will, along with the governor's Arkansas School Safety Commission, study what policies could help prevent school shootings. Both proposals are expected to face an uphill battle in the 2019 legislative session. You're listening to Gun News Review. A study released this week reaffirms what most gun owners already knew, but is ignored by the anti-gun crowd in their calls to ban semi-automatic guns. The study in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that so-called semi-automatic assault rifles have been used in only about 25% of what the study calls active shooter events. The study says the rest of the time, firearms including handguns, rifles, and shotguns were the weapon of choice. But the lead author says they also found that if a semi-automatic is used by a shooter, they're able to shoot twice as many people. He added people need to know that handguns can be and are just as easily used by an assailant intent on killing in a public place. Despite these findings, the focus of the gun control crowd following mass shootings has been to ban so-called assault rifles, despite what gun was used. And a major piece of American gun history is now in the hands of a new owner. The only M1 Garand owned by legendary gun designer John Garand went up for auction last weekend, selling for $275,000. The gun is the 1,000,000th M1 Garand built on the assembly line of the Springfield Armory and then presented to Garand at his retirement ceremony in 1953. It's stocked in highly figured walnut and cased with accessories, including 8 gold-plated 30-06 cartridges. Rock Island Auction Company, which handled the sale, had placed the gun's value at between $225,000 and $375,000. The new owner's name has not been released. You've been listening to Gun News Review, comprehensive and concise.